Careful! Champagne! Oh, he's got a roll! Oh! Okay folks, so here we are, sort of still only at the start of my job. You can see all the dust now, can't you? People said, oh, I can't see any dust, look at that. Oh dear. Anyway, let's have a closer look at some of these, shall we? I've got these characters which I've talked about in the past. So I always think this guy looks a bit like Daniel Craig. Just a little bit of a hint about him. It was more so actually before I finished the painting. It became a slightly less so, perhaps. I don't know if I can just show you this or not. Whether it's going to be, well, some focus would be nice, if you don't mind. How about focusing? That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, let's focus in on that. Perhaps I'm too close, perhaps that's the problem. I just got a little bit of a Daniel Craig look about this guy. Like Daniel Craig in a sort of a German outfit. Don't know if you can see that. That's one. And then we've got the guy here who's calling up to the King Tiger commander. Taking his instructions there. And then we've got these two at the front. And this one on the left always reminds me of, again, the lighting's not brilliant, I know. Chap on the left there reminds me slightly of, what are you doing? There's Pussy. Pee-wee's arrived. Hello, how have you been? She's been fast asleep for hours and hours and hours. Now she's come down, decided she wants some dinner. Well, that's very bad timing, to be honest. Anyway, back to the men. My men. Yeah, the guy on the left there reminds me of Clint Eastwood in Where Eagles Dare. Something about the way he's holding his MP40 over his. He's got the MP40 over his shoulder. Something. Just thinking about the way he stands, really. Yeah. And then we've got Spock over here. Mr. Spock, who's doing a bit of gun loading. Loading some 88mm shells, yeah? And again, some people have seen these before. They always make me chuckle a little bit. Then we've got Michael Vittman and his tank. Actually, I'm going to get a good angle on this. Light's a bit strange, I know. Quite a lot of backlighting reflections. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. And then we've got some guy with his Panzerfaust, and then we've got some Allied soldiers, and we've got Daniel Craig again. Now this is a bit of a weird one because this is like the British Daniel Craig. This chap here, who he kind of comes across. Get it focus. Is it going to focus for us, or is it not going to bother? Oh yeah, I get it. Oh, that's better. A bit sharper now. Yeah, the one that's got the Sten gun in his hand. A little bit reminds me of Daniel Craig. Yeah, and then we've got Prince Harry at the back with his. Perhaps the less said about him, the better, eh? I'm not an advocate. I've got to be honest. And if you look at him, he does have this look of Prince Harry, doesn't he, this chap? And then we've got various other guys. It reminds me a little bit of Dad's Army, some of these, but there's a lot of dust here that's got to be tackled, as you can see. quite a lot of it on the ground. So you can see there's plenty of dust that's going to have to be sorted out. So I'm going to crack on with that now. I'm going to feed the cat, who seems to be thinking that she's owed something. Yes, she definitely thinks she's owed something. You want some tea? Tea? Time for you to... Oh, feed me, she says. I'm starving. Not eaten for so long. Hey. Hey. Some food? Tea? Yeah. Oh, cute pussycat. Look at that. Playing cute pussy. The things she will do for food. Yeah, some tea. Tea. Yes. What are you doing, that stupid camera? Please go and get me some tea. Right, well, we'll go and get that sorted. Then we'll be back on our model cabinet later. So stay tuned, folks. Okay, we'll get into the old cleaning of the actual cabinet now. And I've got to say, there's a lot of crud on it from flies. And the biggest problem with these cabinets is sometimes the flies can get in. I've had a couple of blue bottles I've got in here. I'm not quite sure how they manage it, but it's a bit of a problem because then they bounce around on the inside and they can make a right old mess, I can tell you. So what I'm actually using here on the glass, I'm using Auto Glim Fast Glass that you get from Halfords. It's really aimed at automotive glass, but it's beautifully well suited for things like this because it gives an absolutely smear-free experience on the glass. It's been rattling, this glass. I can't normally go at it like this because there'll be models in it and they'd all fall over. But this is very, very good, this stuff, for really giving you a fairly smear-free experience. And really clean it better than something like Windoline or whatever. I think, anyway. So that's the front one done. I'm using a microfiber cloth, obviously. I used to have some very loud orange ones, but my wife has got these, which are actually not too bad. They're quite good quality. These sort of browny, thorny coloured ones. I can promise you. Right, back to where I was. I was so rudely disturbed. Right, just need to get some cleaning on the side here. It's quite hard to get at. There we go, all the way down. Now it's not the biggest cabinet, this one. It is large, it's just that it's got only 4 levels, 4 shelves, which means it doesn't carry that much. It doesn't carry that much in terms of capacity. Unlike the other one, which has got 5 shelves, but are closer together, obviously. And that's the name of the game with them. So this suits bigger models, really, I suppose. Perhaps bigger scale stuff. And the other one a bit less so, because it hasn't got the height between the shelves. But it's really, really filthy. I mean, if you look now, bring you in, you can see here that it's pretty. I haven't got inside yet, so you can see the dust. It's pretty bad. So I'm going to concentrate on the sides, on the outside, and then we'll come back later. Come back a bit later, and we will that way. We'll once it's all cleaned and dusted off on the shelves, same technique, same stuff. The Auto Glim product, Fast Glass. Get that cleaned off, get them all dust free. Probably best to just go in with several cloths and almost have a cloth per shelf, to be honest. You don't want to be going in there with any cloth that's not absolutely pristine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in there, clean off each shelf, make sure the back is looking all right first, and then you finally clean off each shelf. The bottom's always a problem because it's a mirror finish. You see the mirror finish? Oh, I've left one in there, haven't I? It's my dad's jet Provost, isn't it? And you see it's a mirror at the bottom. So that really does show up any old mess. I don't know if you can see this one here. There's some quite nasty crud there as well, actually. Yeah, it's not great, is it? Anyway, that's the whole point. That's just proving that we needed to do it, really. So there we go. It needed doing, so... Anyway, I shall press on, and I shall be back later on. Cheers for now. Stay tuned. I'll be back. As Danica Rice used to say, stop the clock, stop the clock. I've done it. It's finished. Well, one of them. Oh, half of it's done. Not really. Actually, it's about 35%, maybe 40% of the total models. Let's have a look. There we go. We're done. We're done. Now then, we've got our little diorama scene back in place. Let's just have a quick zoom on this. There we go. Got our Brits and our Americans and Allied forces on this side. Slight change. We've got we've moved the race cars up a shelf. So I think they're more suited to being a bit higher up because they're quite colourful. And it's for Christmas. It's really brought a bit of colour and a splash of a bit more light into the room, actually. I'm quite pleased with that. That's a change I've made. And so these have dropped down one, but doesn't mean anything beyond. They sort of block out the light a little bit. And it was blocking out the lights of the race cars. I think that was the wrong way around. I think it's much better this way. So, yeah, that's quite pleasing, to be quite honest. So there we go. We're finished. I've just got to pick up my bottle of fluid that's fallen on the floor there. Cleaning fluid. And yeah, that's the job actually done for this cabinet for this year. And it looks a lot nicer now, doesn't it? That's much better. All the glass has been cleaned. Every face of the glass is cleaned. So we've really got an improvement there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. All done in about the 2 hours I said it should take. Really about 2.5 hours. Anyway, we move on to the other horror, so stay tuned. I mean, you're going to see this all in one video, so coming after the break, after the commercial break, we will move on to the real horror, which is in the hall, which is the big one with the 5 shelves. Oh, stay tuned. See you later. Hello, folks. Right, carrying on then. Today we are going to finish this job, and we are now moving on to the other cabinet. So what I've done to start with, I'm not going to go and do this blow by blow. Try and give you the headlines. So what I've done to start with is I have got the big stuff out, the interesting stuff that I think a lot of you would like to see. So I'm just going to bring you around. He says. There we go. Got that in the end. I'll let you have a look at some of this stuff. So, for example, we have here. I'll just get my zoom to work properly. There we go. I've got the Messerschmitt 163B Comet. And this is the Meng kit. And a very fine kit it is, to be fair. Not without its faults, 1 or 2 fit issues, to be honest. Let me see if I can give you some of the detail here. I'm not sure if this camera's actually going to catch it as well as the other one would, but it's got a lovely cockpit. I also used the Edward zoom set in there. There's quite a lot of detail in that cockpit. Yeah, you can see the seat belts and things. And obviously we've got the Valter rocket motor. You've got the tail section here. That had a couple of extras, and I'm trying to think who they were. Was it Ares? I can't remember now. For some of the framework and the sort of support spar for the fuselage at the back of the wing. And then we've got V1 flying bomb from Tamiya, Feisler. Over here we've got our ubiquitous Tamiya P47D, the Razorback. We've got the Revell V2, which actually is quite a decent kit. That's because it wasn't one of theirs. It was, and the names escape me, not IBG, one of the Czech companies, and I've forgotten who it is. You can check it on Scale Mates, but it's not actually a Revell tooling, so it's a nice kit actually. And then we have got Revell tooling, the F-15E Strike Eagle, which to be honest was yeah, a few issues, but nothing major. Nothing major, nothing that made it unbuildable. It just requires a bit of patience, a bit of fettling, especially around the nose connection when it goes in and the intakes. And also around the sort of back end around this area here. And then we've got the much less easy to manage Eduard Mirage 3, which looks absolutely brilliant, of course. Now I've conquered the darn thing and beaten it into submission. And to be honest, it's a nice kit. Now, once it's finished, it's one of those. A bit like the Kinetic Sea Harrier. It looks a great kit when you've done it. You may not think so in the process, however. And then we've got the Mosquito from Tamiya. Whoops, just kicked something over. The 48 scale Mosquito from Tamiya, the little Austin truck. All looking very fine. Now, these are currently not yet dusted. And I'm not going to dust them in here. For sort of obvious reasons, because it'll just create more dust from my cabinet that I've just done over here. We don't want that, obviously, so we don't want to make things worse. However, I do have a new toy. Check this out. This is just arrived. It's actually a Christmas present from my wife, and she didn't realise I was doing the dusting just yet. And it's a turbocharged. It's basically a fan, an air blower, and it's literally a dust blower. KICA is the brand. Kika. Yeah, and it's quite interesting. I'm going to use it very, very sparingly because it's got some real waft in this. For some applications, like the little figures and things, way too much waft. Somebody said, oh, I use blower brushes, I use my airbrush. Airbrush I think is fine because you can control the airbrush, can't you? You can regulate it. You can with this, but to a lesser degree. But you've got to be careful. If you start using these blower cans I mentioned, they are, I don't know what the PSI is, it's probably 40, 50 PSI that comes out of them. It's powerful. And they can do a lot of damage. So this thing, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take you on a little journey. Whoa. So where we are working, which is here today, you see I've already got rid of the Lotus Esprit shelf is gone, and all the Esprits are lined up here on our bookcase currently. They're going to get packed away because we're not going to stick with them because they're not models at the end of the day, and I think it should just be a model cabinet. Now those are not models either, those three and these two, but they are quite small and they are very dust attracting, so I might let them stay on, but everything else will just be kits only. Anyway, let me just give you a little demo of this thing, and so you can see what we think of it. So what you do is you press this button here. Oh, it's going already. Can we see that? Yeah, and then you've got this button at the front, which I'm using German. Yeah, well, I better not do that. If the wife sees me doing that, she'll think, I'll get a slap, you know. Hear that? So actually, this probably is okay. It'll be certainly okay on the. It'll certainly be okay on the cars. I mean, these Esprits, I'm going to waft them off quite a bit before I put them away, pack them away. You've just got to not go too mad with it. Actually, I'm quite impressed with that because it's got a good variability, better than I thought. So, oh yeah, here's my picture of it in centre with Nigel Mansell. There we go. If you like centre pictures, check these out. This is centre at Monaco in 1992. Again with Mansell chasing him hard down, right behind. There we go. I've also got centre at. Hang on a minute. We've got centre at Monte Carlo here in 1992, just before that incident with Mansell. And then we've got, sorry about the reflections, can't avoid that really. Got this very nice picture of Senna, got a bit of a Senna haul, you see. Anyway, I am digressing. So, yeah, here we go, just prove the point actually. That's him having won the race at Donington, with the Brazilian flag behind him. Sorry, I've gone off now talking about something completely different. So forgetting centre for a second. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to dust off these items as you can see, we have got a lot to do because we've got all these little pieces. Looks strange now taking the central montage out, or the central diorama, I should say. But these pieces are the particularly challenging ones because there's so many of them, and they have got to be positioned correctly, you know, so they make sense. So that's going to be interesting. But we'll crack on with that, and we'll get all these out, get them all done and dusted, and then I'll show you the finished situation later on once it's all done. I'm doing this fairly early in the morning. It's about 8:30 a.m. at the moment, so I'm going to crack on with this and try and get it out of the way, not let it drag on all day, you know. And stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because in a few seconds there'll be a cut, and we'll be heading towards the end of the project, I think. And but I will show you doing a little bit of this wafting on these lotuses. See what you think. Anyway, stay tuned. See you in a second. Hi folks, here we are then. Just moved into the kitchen because I don't want to create dust in the area where I'm trying to de-dust. So we've just gone to a better area. Now I've got my interesting little Kika, K-I-C-A. Kika, got it? This is this blower. And I've got my little Lotus Esprit cars. Now these, I mentioned cars are usually fairly invulnerable to high pressure. It won't do them any harm in the way it would with little figures or whatever. So let's have a little look at this and have a little go with it. So here's my little Esprit here. I'm going to switch this on, and we're going to same with this one, turbo on the turbo, look at that. Quite good, actually. Fills me up as well. Multi-purpose. So I think these gadgets sometimes, I'm not a big gadget fan, I've got to be honest. I prefer to use the blower brush for the detail areas, but as I said yesterday really, and the other previous part 1 show, on cars or anything like maybe a submarine or something, as long as there's no rigging, something that's a simple sort of shape, hasn't got too many fiddly bits that are going to blow off in the wind, then these gadgets can be actually very useful, you know. So just bear in mind, it's horses for courses, really, I think. But anyway, that's a little bit of a demo for you what it's like. And I shall crack on with the job now and get the rest of them done. And I'll catch you very shortly after the commercial break. See you in a minute. Hi, folks. Welcome back. I'm still in the middle of my job here. Talked to you earlier about my jet engine blower. Sure enough, it got me into trouble. I did warn about these sort of things, didn't I? So I was actually literally just switching it off. I just done a couple of the cars that were not kits, so the die cast. Harmless, you know. But as I was switching it off, I just turned it and it just caught where 2 of my figures I put at the side. The 2 Luftwaffe figures, one's holding a map. Boom! Blew it right into hyperspace. God knows where it's gone. Disappeared forever. I'm sure we'll never see that again unless we move. It's a very tiny 48 scale map he's holding in his hands. It's not the end of the world because it wasn't a very good one anyway, and it had some writing on the back. It looked a bit weird. So I'll have to do that, rebuild and create one myself, scratch build one. But these things are great. Using powerful blowers are all very well for certain things. It just shows how careful you've got to be. I also, I was just going to say, I'm going to quote you from Skyfall, the Bond film, where they're up at the Skyfall Lodge up in Scotland, and Kincaid, the gameskeeper, says sometimes the old ways are the best. So, the old ways in my case isn't a shotgun, but my trusty blower brush. However, that said, just to prove things go wrong, I actually was just cleaning off the Messerschmitt 262, the 48 scale one from Tamiya, and somehow, it mustn't have been very well fixed, the little hoop aerial at the back, I managed to flip that off. And I've been hunting for that. Anyway, I found it and it's fixed. It's all fine. But even this, and I wasn't going crazy with it. I was just being gentle as usual. So it's made me very nervous. Anyway, coming back to the present, the reason I'm on with this little clip is I want to show you this. So as you can see, I'm gradually clearing out. I still haven't dusted yet, but I'm clearing out the items. Now I wouldn't normally do this in situ like this, but I just wanted to show you. We've got a couple that have got rigging, which is really tricky. So I just wanted to show you how I go about the rigging, really. Being extra gentle around rigging. Very, very carefully done. You cannot be too careful. I'm doing the 0 from Edward here. Just be very careful when you're working around this stuff. It's very important. Okay. Now, over here we've got the 109. We've got even more complex rigging on this, so I've got to be super careful. It's got a hoop aerial as well. Just got to be very, very gentle. Don't push your luck. I think this is going to be okay, this one. Yeah, we're just to give you an idea. You cannot be too gentle when you've got rigging and aerials and all that stuff. I've got another one up there, haven't I? The Tamiya Spitfire. Trying to zoom you in. Here we go. Yeah, see, that's got some rigging on it as well. So you've got to be very, very careful. Anyway, I'm going to get these out now. And in the next section, you should see me on the downhill. Stop the clock! Stop the clock! As Annika Rice used to say, it's over. It's finally over. I finished the dusting. Are you ready for this? Here we go. I've rearranged it as well. It's in a completely different arrangement now. Uncluttered it a bit. I think it looks a lot better, to be honest. I think that I've spaced them out a lot more. And we have got just a general better setup, I think, really. Yeah. So we've now, again, there's been a change around as well as just a spacing out. So these have dropped down a shelf, but I think they're easier to see a little bit lower down. The trouble is they're a little bit at a strange angle before. You can see my man there is about to fall over. I just need to have a little go at him. The chap with the toolbox I'm talking about. Do you see who I mean? I'll show you. No, that's not who I mean. Right, here we go. This chap here. No. Go away. Stupid thing. What are you doing? This chap here looks like he's falling backwards. Can you see what I mean? This is the problem that you have. Getting these pieces to actually stand and stay like a good boy in their proper positions, it's nightmarish. And the worst part of the whole setup is this. It's here. Let me just get this angle for you. There. These pieces, because you've got chocks ahead of the wheels on the FW190. You've got the bomb loading cradle, and you've got the bomb, and all these are separate pieces. And the bomb loaders are not fixed, and it's like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle in the dark. It's really difficult, I've got to be honest. Anyway, so that's where we're at. So we've got we've definitely opened it up quite a lot, and we've sort of got a Luftwaffe shelf. We've then got the Matchbox shelf with just a few small cars at the back. The only big car is the one that's actually a kit that I built, my own work. So that's there, the Porsche 928S. And then you get your other Matchboxes at the front. And the bottom shelf is pretty much unchanged, to be honest. So there we have it. There we have it. It's I'm quite pleased with that, actually. It's come out. I've had to do a lot of cleaning. I had real problems getting behind. I had to get behind it, and there's no room, and this thing weighs an absolute ton. This is a two-man job. When it was delivered, it took 2 men. Big chaps really struggle because it's really heavy, this thing. It's much heavier than the other one is. Because it's got the extra shelf, I suppose that's one of the reasons. But it was really nightmarish, and there's no way I could get behind it or move it. So I've had to have like rods with dusters on to get there's these spider webs that nasty things that became apparent that you'd missed, you know. Anyway, it's all clean now, so mission is accomplished. I have to say that the my wife's lovely gift, which is a very nice gift, it's this blowing in my face now. You're looking at the jet intake end. That's the exit end. I mustn't do it near the cabinet. It's all well and good this, but it's a bit, just show you, away from the cabinet. That is a bit extreme. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant gift and it's very useful for all sorts of things. And maybe not some of these. On the cars, I used it on the cars, it was great. On these little pieces, these fine pieces, as I said earlier, it blew away the map. So I had to recreate the map. I don't know if you noticed that. I'll just show you. These guys right at the front here. I can just get the zoom to work. There we go. Right, these two chaps here. It looks like they're in the dark, doesn't it? Sorry about the lighting. It's just the way it looks. Anyway, he's got a map in his hand. Well, I had to recreate that, so I've just done that myself from scratch. Anyway, that's it. So the mission is accomplished for another year. Rearranged it all. I think I've got my F15 looking quite nice, which has been sort of pushed in the background, perhaps a bit too much in the past. Just show you a little zoom in on this. Yeah, you get to see a bit more of that, which I think warranted it. And again with the ME Comet, and I have to tell you, there were several accidents. One of the accidents was the ME Comet's engine broke off one of the vent pipe, and it's a very tiny pipe, and it broke right off as I was putting it in there. So I had an emergency repair, which is absolutely perfect. It's seamless, actually. I've been quite lucky, I think. But that broke, and we lost the map. What else did I break? I broke the hoop aerial on these. The hoop aerial here. That broke off on the 262. So there's been a few things break off, and it happens every time. And if you're not careful, you can end up with a situation where you don't even know where the parts have come from. But when I was telling you about the 163, the Comet rocket fighter, as I was gluing that in, I was using my finest tweezers, and it just this tiny bit of piping, this only little breather pipe, and it pinged off in my modelling lab. Never to be seen again, or so I thought, but I did actually spot it about 5 minutes later. And it's so small, it was just a miracle. It just pinged off into the right place in an open area on the garage floor where it's actually easy to see. Otherwise, I never spotted it again, you know. Anyway, that's it. I hope you found it interesting, folks. I say, the new gadget, it's a very clever little gadget. It's got unbelievable power. It's like a Sith lightsaber, like a two-headed lightsaber. But it has got uses for blowing dust away, but maybe not in this particular scenario because I think things are a bit too delicate. So I would urge you not to go looking for quick fixes, and I still feel at the end of the day nearly everything's been dusted with the blower brush, which has worked out perfectly and not given me any issues at all. Apart from pinging off that 262 aerial, which was with the blower brush. I don't have no idea how I managed that. I wasn't being rough at all. I think it was just it was obviously hanging on by a thread. Anyway, that's it for me for another year. I hope you enjoyed seeing them and seeing how I go about it. I have got two very nice cabinets. I'm very lucky in that respect, but it's difficult. You'll notice as well, if you look carefully, how I've changed the setup. Can you see how I put the Coastal Kits bases there? Now, the one advantage of having them, especially at the top, at eye level, is where you see most of the dust with your eyes. That's where it really catches your eye and you notice it the most. So I've got a little bit of a trick of the trade there. That's kind of from experience. if you've got some of these, put them at the eye level, because that's where you see the dust. If you eye onto the shelf itself, when you look down, you don't see the dust as badly. So as I look down now, I mean, there isn't any now, obviously, I've cleaned everything, but you're looking through. It's like looking through the atmosphere as opposed when you're looking at the stars, as opposed to looking through it at a shallow angle. It'll always look worse when you're at a shallow angle and you can actually see it side on, sort of thing. So there we go. God, I need a holiday, I tell you. I need a Christmas holiday. I feel absolutely exhausted on my feet for 2 days doing this job. Yeah, it's worth it though. It is worth it. I can now sit and put my feet up, and it does look better as well. It doesn't look as rammed as before. Opened it up a bit. The Mirage has got more space. That F15's got a bit more space than it deserved, really. And as I say, the other cabinet looks much nicer than it did. So I hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Take the gloves off now, finally. Jeez. The trouble is this, I noticed actually having the gloves on, some years I didn't always wear gloves every year. But it's nightmarish because with the gloves and the glass, I just don't have any issues with the finger marks, Whereas before, I remember previous years I had to keep going back and going back and going back again. It's not worth it, just put some gloves on. Works every time. You just don't have any finger marks on your models, and especially on the cabinet glass, the windows. And you open these doors, there's no handle on them, you have to open them with your fingers on the glass, so again, it's a no-brainer. But thanks for watching. Hope you thought it was interesting. Let me know. I've had several of you giving your own ideas about it. Several of you using the airbrush. I think the airbrush is fine, actually. But somebody got a little confused and thought I was talking about airbrushes. Don't use airbrushes. No, I didn't say that. Because you can, most of them you can regulate the pressure. It's these blaster cans I was talking about. I think they're about 40, 50 psi. They're quite high pressure, and they will just blow your model to bits. And some of the stuff I've got here with remove before flight tags on them and things like that, they just blow to pieces. It wouldn't last 5 minutes, Again, the guy with the map and all this, there's all sorts of stuff in these dioramas, When you look at them, you look down at those guys and all the little things that they're getting up to. It's very, 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 very difficult to, to be able to use a high pressure jet on them without causing some serious problems. So I'd avoid that. So I recommend blower brushes, maybe your airbrush. Some of you have talked about the Tamiya static brush, which I think they're a bit stiffer though. Again, I won't go on I think they're okay on aircraft wings and things like that, but I won't go on the finer parts. They're really. So I've got some super delicate stuff here, as you've seen. So I think it's horses for courses. You can use. There's all sorts of things you can use, but I think it depends on what it is you're trying to dust. I need a cup of tea, or maybe something stronger. Anyway, I'm going to go and put my feet up, and that's me done for Christmas. Now, of course, I say that, there's lots of other stuff coming through at Christmas. Finally, we've got the ICM Hamden has just arrived, just a few minutes before I start recording, in a rather damaged box, I've got to say. This has been, it's very late, it's a week late. And it's been on some sort of magical mystery tour of Europe. It's been around the Baltic countries. It's been to Estonia. Sorry, no, it's not Estonia. Latvia. Been to Latvia. Been to Riga. So it's had a bit of a strange journey, very unusual. So I don't know why it took so long. I seem to be the last person to get it, but it doesn't matter. I don't care about that really. Would have been better at giving more time at Christmas if it come earlier, but it wasn't ICM's fault. They sent it in good time, and it's just the courier that they've used has had a bad week or something, I don't know. But the box looked like somebody kicked it. Anyway, there's no damage, thank goodness. So we'll be having a look at that properly. Will it be kit of the year? Who knows? We shall see. But stay tuned for that one. And in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you thought this was all quite fun to see all the stuff, to see all the models. Sorry about the lighting. As I say, it looks great when you're standing here, but the cameras don't capture it well because it's not like in the modelling lab, which is supremely bright, and in here the lighting is quite subtle, shall we say, in the house. It's not quite the same. So, but I'm sure you got the gist of it, and hope you had a good time watching it. So thanks a lot for joining me, and stay well, stay safe. Until next time, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Till then, thanks a lot, and bye for now.